Friends, my name is Shilpa Kakkar. I'm from M.B.Patel English Medium Secondary and Higher Secondary School. Today, I have come with Flamingo, first lesson of Flamingo of Standard 12th. The name of the lesson is The Last Lesson. Let us understand what the lesson consists of. This story is written by Alphonse Daudet. He was a French writer, novelist, and short story writer. The last lesson is set in the days of Franco-Prussian War, in which France was defeated by Prussian, led by Bismarck. Prussian at that time consist of Germany, Poland, and parts of Austria. In the story of the last lesson, French districts of Alsace and Lorraine have passed into Prussian hands. Let us see what was the effect of that on life at school. There are two characters. The first character is M. Hamel. He was a French teacher who was very passionate about French. He was a very sincere teacher. Another character is Franz, a little boy, very sensitive, honest, but lazy. He did not like to go to school. He did not like to study. So this story based on the days when Prussia captured two districts of France, Alsace and Lorraine. That day, Franz started late for school, and he was in great dread of scolding because M. Hebel had said that he would question them on participles, and he did not know the first word about them. For a moment, he thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. But it was so bright, so warm, that he chose to go to the school. He saw Prussian soldiers were drilling, and he thought of going to school early, otherwise Mr. M. Hamel would not enter the class and he will get the scolding. When he passed the town hall, he saw there was a great crowd in front of the bulletin board. For at least 2 years, all their bad news had come from there. He did not stop over there and thought that he should reach to the class soon. Usually, when the school began, there was great bustle. There was the sound of opening and closing of the desk, the teacher's ruler rapping on the table, lessons repeated in unison, very loud, with their hands over their ears to understand better. But that day, there was no commotion. There was no disturbance. It was like a Sunday morning when everything was quiet. When he reached to the doors of the classroom, he saw that Mr. Hamel was standing in his new clothes and with his ruler under his arms. As he was standing on the door, Mr. M. Hamill saw him and very kindly told him to take his place and even said that they were going to begin without him. He was shocked. He quickly jumped over the bench and sat down. When he entered the class, he saw his teacher had worn his beautiful green coat, his frilled shirt, and the little black silk cap. Usually he used to wear that during inspections or prize days. But that day was quite different. He even surprised to see that the backbenches that were usually empty, the village people sitting quietly like the students, old Hauser with his three-cornered head, the former mayor, the former postmaster, and several others besides. Everybody looked sad, and Hauser had brought an old primer, thumbed at the edges, and he held it open on his knees, with his great spectacles lying across the pages. While he was wondering about all these things, he saw M. Hamill mounted his chair, and in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to allow him to enter the class. In fact, it was the last class. He said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very attentive." Those words were thunderclap to him. He could not believe himself. He thought that it was his last French lesson. How could? He hardly knew anything about French. He hardly knew how to write. And he was not able to learn anymore. He was so much shocked that he was very sad, and suddenly the respect for M. Hamill aroused in him, and he understood why that day he was wearing Sunday clothes, why those old men of village were sitting there. Now he understood why there was crowd near the bulletin board, why that bustle was missing, why the school was very quiet. As he was thinking about all these things, and as he was thinking and thanking his master, who had served for 40 years in the same school. Suddenly, he heard his name was called, and it was his turn to recite. He was not able to learn the rules of participle, but he tried to speak out loud, but he could not. M. Hamill did not scold him and told him that it was okay. Not only that, he felt very bad that why didn't he learn French? Not only, but the elderly people also felt very bad that why didn't they learn French in their days. It was very bad for them that they will not be able to learn French anymore. M. Hamill did not blame the students for that. He said that it was he and their parents were to be blamed, because if instead of allowing them to move away, sending them to different places for their work, they should have asked them to sit in the classroom and learn French. But now it was too late for them to learn. As he and all understood that the language helps everyone to speak out for themselves, but now they won't be able to use their own language. As M. Hamill went on to talk of French language, he started saying the most beautiful thing in the world is language. The clearest, the most logical, and one never forget it. Because when people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. As he was listening to him carefully, he was getting interested in learning, and he thought that he understands everything that day which was taught, whatever was taught by M. Hamill. He understood grammar, the thing which he disliked till that day. After the grammar lesson, they had the lesson in writing. M. Hamill had new copies for them, and they were written in beautiful round hand. France, Alsace, France, Alsace. They looked so beautiful. He liked to copy everything. In the classroom, everything was quite silent. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. On the roof, the pigeons cooed very low. And suddenly, Franz thought, will they make them sing in German? Even the pigeons? This is what linguistic chauvinism is. People favor their language. He knew that Germans could stop them learning, could stop them speaking in French, but they cannot take away French from French. As he was sitting, suddenly the clock struck 12 and the time came of saying bye to them. He said he blames himself, he blames everything. But as Hammer declared the end of the class, everybody was very sad. Everybody blamed themselves. They understood the importance of the language. They understood that that was their last day of French language. When the clock struck 12, he turned to the blackboard and took a piece of chalk and wrote as large as he could, Viva la France, that is, long live France. He stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word, he made a gesture to all of them with his hand that school is dismissed. They may leave. So, students, hope you have understood the lesson. The last lesson by Alfonso Dot.